And the volcanic ash that is headed towards India. Now, flight operations in the country have been impacted after volcanic ash from an Ethiopian volcano drifted across to India. For perspective, the volcano has erupted for the first time in over 10,000 years. So far, today, 19 international flights have been impacted, 7 international flights cancelled, 12 international flights have been delayed as a precautionary measure, given that this volcanic ash is heading to India and that is causing problems in visibility. Airlines have been ordered to strictly avoid all ash affected routes and altitudes and adjust flight plans accordingly. They've also been advised to report any engine or cabin anomalies immediately. Some carriers, including Indigo, Akasa Air, KLM, cancelled or diverted flights. Meanwhile, the IMD has issued an update. So there's some good news as well, that the ash will leave Indian airspace and move towards China by around 7:30 p.m. So that is the good news, that by 7:30 this evening, we are expecting that the ash will leave our skies and head towards China. Well, NDTV's Vishnu Shom brings us the details about this volcanic eruption that took place and the movement of this volcanic ash.
This satellite imagery actually shows you the areas where it passed through. All of these pink-orange sort of streaks that you see over here is actually smoke. It's smoke which adds on to the pollution which is already there, but at a lower altitude. This was actually fairly high at an altitude of 25 to 45,000 feet. And all across the Indian subcontinent and indeed India itself, across the national capital region and flowing all the way east and then onwards and upwards into China, where it eventually gets to, was this horrific wave of ash cloud. Now, again, fortunately, the long-term impact of this may not be very great. We'll explain that to you in a moment. Let's go to the next image, because the big concern was on flight operations. And as a result of this, 19 international flights have been impacted, 7 international flights have been cancelled, 12 international flights were delayed. This is what it was on Flight Radar earlier on. These were the areas which were directly being impacted. This is Delhi over here. This is one of the heaviest and most congested airspaces anywhere in the world. And flights were operating. When I checked on this last night on Flight Radar, they were operating mostly under 35,000 feet to keep them safe off this ash cloud. But this could have been a real concern if this was lower. Then you would have seen a massive disruption of flight services. It would have been absolutely horrific, along the lines of what we saw during the COVID period when flight operations shut down to a large extent. Let's move to another image, which actually gives you another visual representation of all of the areas which were actually impacted by this ash cloud. All across Pakistan, going into India, all of Rajasthan, essentially covering New Delhi, areas further east. And then, of course, as we showed you in the previous image, it's just, it continues to move. It was actually moving quite fast. Some analysts say at a speed of approximately 200 odd kilometers per hour. But we'll give you one final picture, and this doesn't have to do with the ash cloud. It has to do with the smoke cloud, which actually exists. This comes from the NASA scientist Hiren Jetwa. And this was the smoke situation across the Indo-Gangetic Plain. All of this is the horrific air pollution that impacts us and plagues us at this stage. Now, what we saw in terms of the ash cloud was pollution at a higher altitude. This is at a lower altitude. This is what results in the PM 2.5 count being absolutely abysmal.
Well, to talk more about the volcanic ash and this cloud of volcanic ash, we're now joined by GP Sharma, President, SkyMet Weather, and Dr. KJ Ramesh, former DG, IMD. Thank you so much both for joining us. Dr. Ramesh, first to you, it does seem, and India right now, and Delhi in particular, suffering from this high pollution levels, and there were fears regarding what this volcanic ash could mean for that. But for the moment, it seems it's not going to have that much of an impact given the altitude. If you could explain to us.
Yes, fly ash is pumped into higher and higher altitudes from the source itself, and that's how it doesn't move, and ash is driven by a wind in whatever direction wind is taking, so that direction it will move. and as it is indicated, it is moving at a speed of around 150 kilometers per hour, and that's how altitude is more than 20,000, 25,000 meters feet above the ground. So that's how it is not affecting the actual pollution concentration which is there close to surface in Delhi. But as per the IMD's assessment and the alerts are given, it is trying to by maximum by 7-10 o'clock it should be out of Indian airspace.
Right, that is a real relief, because already given our levels of pollution, GP Sharma, if you could tell us more about, this fly ash is being tracked very, very closely, and what are the various, impacts that could have on dispersion and on weather?
Gagi, it was a massive eruption. We saw it in the visuals also, in the satellite imagery. The spread of that ash clouds, which are there, which have traveled thousands of kilometers from that region, North Ethiopia, and then across the Red Sea, Yemen, Oman, and then Arabian Sea, and further, Pakistan region and onto our region. Okay, very wise decision, I will say, that we have cancelled some of the flights, rerouted some of the flights. There is a documented evidence in the past wherein the flying ash has entered the engines, whichever aeroplane, even Boeing 747 engine, which flew through that ash clouds, all the 4 engines seized. Okay, there are incidences, not one, even more than that. So, and after the aeroplane glided through more than 20,000 feet, it lost height. Good. The engine were relighted, and then attempt was made, and it could happen. So the lives could be saved. What I say is, it's a very, very serious incident which has to be taken accordingly. Okay, if the rerouting of the flights, cancellation of the flights, it was the call of the day. Okay, since the phenomena is not going to last very long, as it is, you see, we are in the end of November, winds are very strong, in excess of 100, 150 kilometers per hour. So whatever the clouds, ash clouds are there, they're drifting at a very fast pace. Already, I think very shortly it should be clearing our region also. But then the caution should be exercised for a little more time, because the remnant of that debris, whatever it is there, it is still left behind. So we need to exercise caution for a little more time, even after the major mass of it that clears our region. Yeah.
All right, Dr. Ramesh, if you could tell us a bit more about this volcanic ash, how does it differ really, if we talk about it chemically, in terms of already the pollution and dust that we are seeing in the country?
See, it is basically sulfur dioxide particles, and with oxygen, some traces of sulfuric acid can form. But most of the particles, they absorb the light and cools the atmosphere basically wherever they are passing through. And since it is happening much higher and higher levels, 7 to 10 kilometers up in the atmosphere from the ground, so it will not have any impact on the human life or the existing already high concentrations of poor AQI levels over Delhi. So that way there is no concern for the humanity, but the travel towards east of India will get affected until the destination side to Hong Kong or San Francisco directions, the fly ash movement is seen. But on the west side towards Europe and America, this side, from the west of India, I think that should be normalcy will restore for the aviation sector.
Right, GP Sharma, I do believe, I was reading somewhere that we will see some spectacular sunsets, perhaps, and pink skies as well. But finally, if you could tell us more about the impact this will have over the next 72 hours, it will continue to be tracked very, very closely by all meteorologists.
Yes, it is required to be monitored very closely. As it is, as I mentioned, that the winds are very strong. It will go from northwestern parts, further travel all along Indo-Gangetic plains, maybe up to these eastern states, that's Bihar, West Bengal, all along the foothills of Nepal. It will take some time to clear, but definitely, like it happened Sunday night. Okay, so it has already been across about 36 hours or so, more than 36 hours. The weather conditions will improve, but exercise caution for to cater for the safety margins, that we exercise caution for say another 24 hours for northwestern India. Okay, for further eastern parts, central parts, and the other northeastern region, possibly it could
Right.
extend for another 2 days also. Okay, the problem is, you see, all these ash clouds, they contain sulfur dioxide. After all the eruptions which are there, these eruption, the particles are abrasive because the mountain as such, the rocks are there, rocks get pulverized, and those are the small particles of rocks, particles of glass which are carried away. They are very harmful. And on top of that, at the level which they are located at the moment, there is no moisture. That is how, if the aeroplanes are flying, they
Right.
cannot, their weather radar cannot capture it. Weather radar captures a thing where it
Well, the good
moisture.
news is, as you've been
No
saying,
moisture.
that this will be, it'll cross over North India by today evening, and we're lucky that there was no heavy rainfall either that would bring, the ash down or some sort of acid rain taking place. Thank you so much, GP Sharma and Dr. Ramesh, for joining us on NDTV.